Hey, welcome back to Guff Stuff Weekly Podcast. My name is Guff. I am running alone this week, so we're gonna do something a little different. Normally, I have someone to feed off of and work with and talk about stuff and that's knowledgeable in areas that I may not be knowledgeable in, and even more knowledgeable in areas that I am knowledgeable in. So, but this week we're just gonna talk a little bit about what's going on with the podcast. We're gonna highlight some of the appeal of collecting TCG card games. Now, that would be trading card games. So TCG is the acronym for trading card games. And these are things like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc., etc. There's many of them now out there. They're kind of the big three. Magic being probably the biggest, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then there's also things called Flesh and Blood, and some Card Fight, I believe, is another one. Anyway, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the allure of collecting and the nostalgia of it and the rarities and how it brings together communities. So stay with us, and in the end of the video, we'll go over how you can talk about this, how you can respond to this video. I'll have all that information below. If you're watching this on YouTube or some of the other formats, most of the links will be below in the description. And so stay tuned. Let's keep going. So we're going to start off with the allure of the TCG card collecting game, as you would say. And it can be a game. What makes it so captivating? Is it the thrill of opening a booster pack? The smell, the noise, the excitement of seeing what the next card is. I mean, it's all the feel. It's like when you open a booster pack and you hear the crinkling of the wrapper and the feel of the cards. I mean, there's times where just the smell of the ink, there's something about that. It's hard to explain. It's like opening a good book, right? And if you've ever done that, if you've got bought a brand new TCG player or a brand new role-playing book or even a reading book, you crack it open the first time and you get that waft, that smell. It's pretty exciting, and I tell you what, it's awesome. There's also not just opening and all that. There's not just the physical aspect. There's also the artwork, the lore, what's the word I'm looking for? The aesthetics of the cards. It attracts collectors. Some people collect just literally for the art. I know there's guys that collect trading card games, especially in Magic, just for the artists. They're like, oh, this guy, I love his art. I want to collect all the cards of his art. And then there's people who like the lore because, like, a lot of these cards, I don't have any right with me, but a lot of these cards will have like text on them and like little words at the bottom. And Wizards has done a really good job of basically creating stories based off those cards. And I tell you what, just the fact that you can go ahead and, go through and you can gather some lore and history and stuff of the game and some of the characters in the game is exciting. And the monsters and the places. I mean, it's all an encompassing, exciting thing, right? And it's pretty cool. The other thing, the last but not least thing that makes it so exciting is the fact that you can share your stories with your friends. You could tell somebody, hey, I cracked open this booster pack. And in the back was a foil Liliana, blah, 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 whatever. A foil Jace, a foil whatever the card is. A Misty Rainforest, any of those things. And it's just like, or the time you went to this tournament and you played against all these people and you won everything. You were the guy, you were the man, you were the winner that time. It's just like, I don't know. It's something that goes on, and you'll remember that for years. There's like when you were collecting, like for me as a kid, we're collecting baseball cards and garbage pail kid cards and stuff like that. And now there's stories. I tell my kids about them. Well, my kids are a little older now, but I can tell my grandchildren, and these are stories. I can tell them about the trading card games, the Magic cards that I've collected. And so, yeah, there is that. We're going to move on to building the collection. And we can't talk too much about everything because this is just a short podcast. There's various ways to do it, though. Some people, like there's people I know that collect by set. They try to collect a play set of every card from each set. And yes, now we also know in the games there's rarities, and there's, at least in Magic, and I'll use Magic because that's where most of my knowledge comes from. And all the games have rarities and different types of sets and stuff they come from. So for us in Magic, You collect by rarities, and these guys get by play sets. That way, if they ever want to build a deck, they always have a play set of the cards they want to build, right? And I tell you what, that's an expensive, ridiculously expensive way to do it. I don't do it that way. I own a store, like I own hundreds of thousands of cards because I own a store and I resell. But I collect by my color. I like to collect color because I generally play mono green, and with mono green, that leaves it simple for me to collect, and I only collect the cards that I really like. I don't really collect a ton of other cards. I do collect art cards and some of the fancier, arts that I like. I do that. But that's just the different ways that people do collect. Some people collect by theme. I know there's a guy that collects only cards that are like angels. Like, okay, that's a little weird, but hey, that's what he plays. Dragons. It's dragons. Sorry. He likes to collect all the dragon cards. He buys every variation of every dragon card out there. And that's just a preference thing. That's cool, Excuse me. Moving on, there is with the building a collection, there is also the storing and preservation of the collection. Now, there's many ways to do that. A lot of people put sleeves on their expensive cards, or all of their cards. Some people do, but their sleeves are everything from penny sleeves, which are like literally a penny a piece, to some of the more expensive hard protectors, screw down cases for the really expensive cards. You can also get them graded, which is it seems kind of excessive, but if you want to collect, $50,000, Black Lotus, that you go send it into a grading company, you get them put in snap tight, and then it's good. It also is good for resale value, so for the future you want to resell. And so there's that. A lot of people, at least for me, we just store ours in cardboard boxes, the bulk, and then some of the more special ones we put into deck boxes, they're called, and they're usually plastic, hard, they snap together, or they slide together, depending on what they got, depending on what kind you got. I also put them in binders. I do have a lot of cards in binders, and we usually keep those in dry, cool areas, because these cards, remember, are made of cardboard, and they will undoubtedly absorb and collect the moisture in there. Yeah, so you get the foils and they'll start bending, and then some of the cards just get to feel different, and you can tell that they've been not taken care of. So it is very good to take care of them. If you're really serious, put them in a Tupperware, a Rubbermaid bin, or a big bin that's got like a watertight filter, with a seal on the top of the bin, and then throw some desiccant in it, the little moisture absorbers. That's the best way to keep your cards in really pristine condition. But we're going to move on from that. I've talked a little bit about how you collect them. You just put them in sleeves, this and that. We're going to move on to market trends and valuation. This is all exciting stuff. And I tell you what, I don't do it as much anymore. We're getting back into the Magic business here again in my store. People are starting to come out of their closets and starting to want to come out of their houses and start playing more games now. And so we're starting to get back into it. But some of the things that we need to pay attention to is the pricing of these cards can fluctuate so much from day to day, from hour to hour sometimes. And actually, the biggest price changes come from each set that's released, or once a year, or twice a year, I don't remember. Wizards will ban certain cards. Now, if they ban or unban cards, prices will fluctuate ridiculous. They'll go from a 50-cent rare to a $30 rare if they unban it, or vice versa. If it's a $50 rare and they ban it, he's going to dump to nothing because nobody wants it. Then at that point, you can't play with it. Then it's only the collectors that want it, and most collectors aren't willing to pay premium prices for cards that aren't playable. Also, if that makes any sense, that's the danger of collecting. Also, I guess I should have mentioned is if you're collecting cards, try to get them before they become popular in a play, right? Until they get popular in regular play, because if they get popular, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to. It's going to be more expensive to buy them. But there's also reprints that come out. So every once in a while, Wizards does a set like where they'll release a master set, which is like a reprint of all the popular cards from back in the day. So people don't have to play with their really old cards. They can just get a new one and use that in their modern decks, their legacy decks, whatever. And so all this is stuff you have to watch out for when you're trying to watch the markets and the valuations and the trends and all that. It's really hard. You gotta. What we do here is we watch websites. We have a few websites we watch. The primary one we watch is TCG Player. We also use Star City Games. We use Channel Fireball, eBay. There's other ways to do it, but we do multiple different sites, and we also use the local market. If there's a trading card, if there's another place selling trading cards, which there is about 120 miles away. Sometimes we'll just call them and see what their prices are. Hey, what are you selling this for? Just kind of get an idea. I mean, we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and without looking up cards every single time, which I do. Lots of times, someone comes in and wants to buy a card, I just scan it with the TCG Player app, get an idea, and if I'm not really thinking that card is worth that much, I'll look it up on eBay, I'll look it up on a couple different sites, and then I'll get kind of a guess where it comes in. And based off the rarity and the number of those cards I have seen, that's how I judge my prices. So yeah, moving on to communities and events. I know we're kind of powering through this, but we got to keep going because we're trying to stick around 15 minutes, and we still have to cover how to talk about this later. Anyway, one of the bonuses of TCG card games and being a collector and player is there's tons of events. There's lots of these companies now have online versions, but never forget, most of these places you can go play locally. Like the local game store, we have people come here and we have tables set up so they can go sit and play their Magic the Gathering, their Force of Will. That's Force of Will. I forgot about that one. The Pokemon, whatever they want to play. And that brings together communities. It also, if you're living in a big enough town, you can also have bigger conventions where you have a lot of people. That brings in a lot of people, and you have prize tournaments. You will bring in people from all over the place. If I said tomorrow, if I posted tomorrow on my store webpage, and I said I have $1,000 prize for this tournament we're setting up, say standard, I would have people coming from probably hundreds of miles away just for that chance to win that $1,000. And yes, that would be wonderful. It would be too much for my poor little store, but that is what trading card games do. A lot of people just think, oh, you guys get together with your friends and you play, I'll trade you little cards. A lot of mentality is going back to baseball card days and garbage kid days and football cards and basketball cards and hockey cards. That's not how trading card games work. It's pretty wild. Let's see here. If you do go to an event, I tell you what, there's usually something to be said. There's an atmosphere involved in sitting around with 20 or 30 or 100 or 500 or even 1,000 other players and not sure how they're going to break you up into groups and how you're going to play, and if you're going to do drafts or you're going to do sealed or you're just going to play standard, and whatever you're going to do, it's a lot of time. And you know what? You get to, when you do this, you get to, as a collector and a player, you get to see so much other stuff. You get to see lots of other decks. You get to see how other people play, how they behave. And as a store owner, that's important to me, the behavior part, because then I can take that back to my store and I can say, hey, this is a good behavior. This is a good way of playing. This is a good way of doing things. Something maybe we didn't think about in the small town, right? Yeah, so, there is all that. This is all just a lot of stuff, and I'm going through a lot of stuff. Anyway, closing thoughts. Do I think you should get into trading card games and collecting and any of it? Yes and no. Yes, if you can afford it, because I don't think you should do it as just something as a whim. If you have some, expendable income, you have some leftover income after all the bills are paid and all the fun, you have some money set aside for entertainment. Trading card games are an absolutely wonderful way to do it. There is no guarantee on the value of the cards you're going to get. There's no guarantee on anything as far as it goes. But the chances are you're collecting long enough, you're hit a few big dollar items, big dollar cards. I know there's guys that collect only expensive cards, and the prices will go up on most of those cards. They just go, 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 go. You can follow the trends. There's, like I said, TCG Player. There's a few other card sites which I have not mentioned, but I don't have access to every one of them right now. But that just track, basically stock market style, track the value of cards. And if you're a collector and you want money for it, that's the way to do it. You can literally buy and sell Magic cards, trading cards, probably all of them if you do it right, and make money. It's not something that you should do unless it's a gamble. It's a risk. It's a gamble. But if you do it right and you play your cards right, see what I did there? You will at least have fun. You'll learn a lot, and it's just a good way to connect with other people, get to your local community, and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's some of the things I wanted to share with you today. I'm just trying to think. There's not much else. I mean, I've been doing this. I've been playing trading card games since the early 90s. We got into Spellfire. I did play a little bit of Magic back then, but Spellfire went out. So there you are. If you don't know what it is, you should Google it and check it out. It's a pretty cool game. They're not really existent anymore. So you want to play Spellfire, you got to buy all the cards off eBay and hope to goodness that you get stuff that works for it. Anyway, it's fun to talk about this and share your experiences and enjoy your company, and you meet friends and you meet lifelong friends that you just didn't think you were going to meet. I've met people that I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to hang out with these people for the rest of my life, and that is pretty cool. Like, I enjoy that. I enjoy the cards. I enjoy the collecting. And when it's all said and done, it's something I can give to my children, my grandchildren. They could teach them how to play. They could sell off their collection after they're done, and life is grand. I encourage you to go ahead and share this podcast, share this video with whoever you want, whenever you want, and talk about it. Get together with some friends. If you haven't tried any trading card games, go to your local game store. Go to your local Walmart, buy some cards, whatever, if you don't have a local game store. Order them on Amazon, order them on wherever you can. eBay, it doesn't matter. Get some cards, learn how to play, research into it, have some fun. Get together with some people. Even download the app if you have to. Anyway, as I said before at the end of the video, I would tell you, you can get a hold of Guff stuff on the podcast. You can get us on Amazon. You can get, or not Amazon. Boy. You can get us on Facebook, YouTube, any other number of ways. You search for Guff stuff, you'll come up with something that belongs. That's part of us. And feel free to leave some feedback, comments, and we'll talk about some more stuff later. Until next time, my name is Guff. We'll see you then.